Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, so we've got Shyamala Prayaga here for Voice Chat Friday to talk to us about everything involved with UX and voice and conversational AI design. And we have got a topic today, and that topic is around how people like Shyamala and practitioners within the voice design space should be qualifying recruiters to do one of two things, either to help them find a job or help them find qualified candidates. This is a big deal. So you're talking about your portfolio. And so Shyamala, what are some of the things that, let's just get right into it. So first of all, good morning.
Good morning.
What are some of the things that that you would consider personally to be represented by somebody else for a potential new position?
So, see, the credibility matters a lot, right? Whether, what kind of hiring rates do they have? What kind of quality candidates do they bring in? That's very important. Because when it comes to a recruiter representing a company or a brand and a position for that brand, there are too many things. You are directly or indirectly, talking about the brand with the candidates, right? So for me, the most important thing I would say is credibility. Like, what's your success rate has been, or, what kind of values you have. How do you get the participants? Because there are different ways. I know a lot of companies, lot of recruiting companies, they are very ethical in terms of how they get the participants and then all of those kind of things. But I've also seen there are body shopping companies, for example, right? And they also can represent you. They can get the candidate and they can say like, okay, we have a pool of candidates and we can get one for you. And I know what they do in the back end is they try to find someone on the fly, or just train someone. Or I've also seen how what kind of malpractices they do sometimes, when they are trying to bring in the candidates, like someone else will do. Now things have changed a little, but I've heard these kind of things where these folks will ask a real professional who's into this industry to interview on the behalf of the candidate who they are representing in a telephonic round of interview. And meanwhile, they kind of work with these candidates to train them so that they can clear the
Wait
interview.
a minute. So what I've not heard this one before, and I've been around the block several times. So they're actually having true professionals cover for the non-professional, assuming their identity, assuming the non-professional's identity.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Why would a professional do that?
For money.
Why would somebody who knows wouldn't that hurt their, or
so
is
it's
it
like
somebody
this.
who just knows the words?
Somebody just knows the words, right?
Yeah.
So in the past, and it's for money, right? Like I know many people do these kind of things. There has been a lot of posts and stuffs which I see where someone would, especially people who are in the industry for a long time, knows a lot about, for example, voice tech, or for example, conversational AI, or maybe knows a lot about UX and all of those things. If some company is looking for UX designer, there could be a person who's not as experienced, right? So during the first round of interview, no one is seeing the face. Now things have changed because of these kind of things, but it was mostly telephonic rounds. So during the telephonic round, they don't know who actually is talking.
Got it.
Right? So the professional would actually speak and clear the first round, because that's the this. And after that, other rounds, if it is in person, if this person gets to in person, and especially with body shopping model, there is 1 or 2 rounds. That's it. They don't go through a loop like I went through 13 rounds of interview with Amazon, right?
13 rounds?
I did.
At Amazon?
Yeah.
And when was this?
It was in 2012.
Okay, I don't know that would fly today. These, in this market, these candidates are gone before too long. Wow, 13 rounds. Yeah, that would not work with a phone conversation and somebody covering for you.
Yeah, so that is why, and body shopping companies, especially if a recruiter from that kind of company is out there trying to work with the company like a brand, I would say the brand's credibility is also affected. So
Yeah.
I would really be careful to choose, which companies and which recruiters will work for with, and want to represent us for sure in the same manner. Again, quality of candidates matters a lot, right? Like what kind of candidates have they represented, and what kind of candidates have been out there, in the company. So for example, there are candidates who are amazing and excellent, and eventually the companies like them, and maybe we could start with like a contractor role, and make them full time or something. But regardless, whatever the model is, whether we are recruiting for full time or whether it is a contract to hire kind of position, whatever it is, if the candidate is great and knows what they are doing, so all of those things matters a lot. We don't need someone in the company where we will have to again retrain them on the concepts which we have hired them for. There might be some training required in terms of the company process and things like that, right? That's different thing. So really the quality matters a lot, right, as well. I know a lot of companies and recruiters, what they do is, for them it's all about numbers,
Hmm.
but I would focus more on quality over quantity.
Yeah. Have you ever, so you're a hiring manager, you're also the talent in this space. Have you ever encountered a recruiter? Has a recruiter ever approached you to support your needs that you knew right off the bat could not spell conversational AI?
Actually, yes. We tried doing that, and we had some success and some kind of failures, I would say, in the space, because uh, we had a person who, like when the recruiters start talking, and conversational design is pretty new and there are very few candidates out there, I would
Hmm.
say. So there was this one company which we approached for the conversational AI role, and they actually brought a UX designer who has no knowledge about conversation design, but
Oh boy,
have worked as a student project during their college days for a robot.
for a robot.
Yeah, right.
Hmm.
So when I started interviewing, I was like, okay, but this person doesn't know anything about the things, so there will be a lot of training involved, right? So that's the kind of challenges which I somehow feel like, they just try to brush a little bit of resume here and there, but the skill sets is still the same, right? Like you cannot just polish a dog with the tiger
Right.
kind of look and feel and say like this is a tiger, right? The underlying thing will still be the same. So that kind of things I have seen, but there were also some successes where we had great candidates who were represented and who were brought in for interview.
Well, that's good to hear. So, how many chances do you give a recruiter, Shamala, to calibrate and get that quality right? I think this is important to know because if there are recruiters watching this and they're trying to figure out how to up their game, is there a calibration period that you agree to and then from there roll it out, or how does that work for you?
Uh, yeah, I mean, kind of depends. With Ford, the thing is we already have a lot of companies we are working with, so mostly
Right.
we try to first work with them and see if they are able to bring the kind of candidate. But because voice being niche, sometimes we may have to look out for these kind of things. So basically, I would say a couple of months. I would give couple of months because there are a few things, right?
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
A few things, because you may bring the candidate because, well, you're not having a one-on-one personal relationship with the candidate. As a recruiter, even you are looking at the resume and their credibility and seeing like, okay, this person looks like a good candidate, right? There is no personal level interaction between a recruiter and a candidate in terms of except for this role, this position and
you
all.
you saw me perk up on that one. There should be.
Yeah, but I have seen that because, well, I've been talking with so many recruiters personally when I was looking out and going through different companies and all of those things, right? The only level of understanding they have is, okay, this is a position, this is where it is, are you interested, what's your salary, blah blah blah, that's it, right? you will not know what kind of candidate this person is. So basically what happens is, and this happened actually quite a few times, there was this company where we hired a couple of you know uh, front end designers and a couple of other designers. One of them was a conversational UX kind of. So, okay, these people, we interviewed them and we thought like, okay, they were reasonable. So we had them in the company. Within the first week, we realized like, okay, uh,
No.
whatever has been portrayed about the candidate and all of those things are not true because the candidate knows nothing. We gave the candidate benefit of doubt and gave a couple of more days, but then the second week we were like, sorry, this does not work because looks like the candidate knows nothing. So they had to go back and they were like, okay, we'll try to find a replacement, and they got three times in a row what whoever they sent was not able to stay with the company for more than a week because they did not have the kind of skill sets. And the biggest reason is because you're just not representing the candidate the right way. You're looking at the resume and saying like, okay, this person I know is great, and we know a lot about them. They work with us, but reality is not that.
Okay, this is breaking my heart right now, right?
I
This
know.
this this is not what I wanted to hear on a Friday morning, or actually any day of the week. So, all right, so let's put yourself in the candidate's roles, in the candidate's shoes again. What, from your personal experience, on a scale of, let's just say, 1 to 5, what's your trust and faith in people to represent you at your level?
It's very interesting question. So again, it's the same thing for me. Like if someone is representing me, they should know a lot about me to represent. Just looking at LinkedIn and resume does not
Is that enough?
it's not enough because see, resume is good. You can put whatever you want, however you want, because you want the candidate to be, or as a candidate, I want to be noticed, right? That's what people do. LinkedIn also, people can add whatever and however they want. So those are to some extent the representation of your personality and your skill sets, but not more than that. So I have had recruiters in the past who I had coffee with. They know a lot about me, and they know my skill sets. They know my interests. They know everything about me and all of those things. I have like candid conversations with them, and I would be confident if they go and represent. So sometimes they'll come to me even now saying, "Shamla, we have this position which meets your needs. Are you open?" Right? So that is the kind of company or person I would want to
Yes.
represent my candidature because, well, if it's just like a body shopping, I have a requirement now, I'm just in the market hunting for the candidate, looking for the keywords, and then I found this candidate with these great credentials on LinkedIn and resume. So let's just push that. Just have a phone call and ask their requirement. Are they open for this thing? And what's the package they are looking for? Notice period, blah, blah, blah. That's it. Honestly, that is the level of interaction recruiters and candidates have at this
That's
point.
right. That's the way I was raised, Shyamala. So I'm learning today that we've got people covering. it's like taking a drug test, somebody else taking it for you. So that's not cool. That is not cool.
Absolutely.
So and now we've got the still perception of the body shop is remains out there. So what about if somebody is new? Like, say they're a DA graduate and they are new to this space. They don't have that senior level portfolio. They don't have a resume that, will knock the doors down with impression. What kind of representation? I mean, they could fall prey easily to these recruiters in the body shop things, or even the fake, right?
Mhm.
Without even knowing it, it sounds like. So, what are qualifying questions that somebody coming out of school, somebody coming out with, less than a year's actual work experience, what should they be asking? What are the questions that you would suggest that they ask to
To the
screen that?
recruiter,
Yeah, screen the recruiter.
It's kind of tricky because at that point, like we say, beggars do not have choosers. Beggars cannot be choosers, right?
Yeah.
So people who are very fresh, they are very desperate to get into the industry. So I don't think they will actually be asking any questions or trying to say like, okay, I will only work with this recruiter. It's very tricky kind of situation for them. But if, let's say, the candidate is well informed and they feel like, okay, I want to be represented by the right person from the beginning, like, if that is the thing, they should be asking, about the company, about their policies, about how do they hire, how do they connect with the companies, I mean, individuals, how do they learn about the individuals, how do they inform that to the other company, like the hiring company, and how does the interview process with that company go? Because a lot of things are there, right? A lot of things are there. So uh, right now the recruiter will say like, okay, I have an opening with XYZ company. Sometimes they will reveal the name, sometimes they will not, until the candidature is like finalized and the resume has been shared and all of those things, right? But there are a lot of things like uh, when we are doing that discussion, we need to know exactly like how will you represent me in that company, right?
Mhm.
uh, uh, that is one thing. And how will you make the introductions? How can I, how will the process work? Because another thing which I have seen, and this happens a lot in the industry, is communication, right? In the beginning, because you are working with the candidate and you are desperate to get this candidate to the interview panel and all of those things, the recruiters will talk a lot about the things, the process. They will make a phone calls and emails, and they will respond to the emails immediately and all of those things. The moment uh, interview is done, and after that there is no further thing, like maybe the company said there's a no go with this candidate. After
Mhm.
that, the recruiters stop responding to emails, or they stop continuing any conversation or informing the candidate like, sorry, we cannot proceed, or the company will not proceed any further. That communication is key, right? That's very important. But I've seen many companies not doing that, and then you constantly keep following up and there is no response. Even if sometimes there is a response, no one will tell you what was the reason why the person was rejected, right? And as a new candidate coming into this industry, if they failed, they would want to know where they failed so they can go back and fix those issues, because they have not done this thing. This is new for them and they want to know exactly what's happening. So if the recruiter is clear, communicating everything at every step with the users, guiding them, helping them, about telling them about the company, like, hey, this is the policy, this is how it works. And really say, like, I love Google for this matter, because their interview process is so seamless and the recruiters are amazing. I worked with the contractor recruiters with Google, I worked with full-time recruiters. And what I have seen is right from the beginning, they will set the expectation, they will tell you who they are talking to, they will tell you what the process would be, they will come back and tell you like if it is taking time, that it is taking time and I'm waiting for the feedback. So, there's a constant communication, but they also tell you what are the best practices you should be keeping in mind when you are doing the portfolio review, or when you're doing a design review sessions, or creating a design exercise or something along those lines. There is a clear guidelines on what you should be doing. In fact, there was this one recruiter, once I did my portfolio review, this lady went above and beyond, and she actually looked at the entire portfolio, fixed she worked with me and she fixed grammatical issues and typos before representing it to the hiring managers, because she was like, when you present this portfolio or when this PDF will go to the hiring managers, I want you and 100% representation of your candidature, and I don't want anything like typos or grammatical issues to come into question for your quality. No one will do that.
I I'm speechless to me. You know why I'm speechless, Shamala? Because this is it seems like this is like above and beyond for you, but to me, this is what we should be doing because this is how I've always done it. So I'm very dismayed to hear. my needle is still stuck, quite frankly, on on faking a drug test when it comes to a job search. I can't even fathom that. So what I'm hearing, exceptional experiences for you, regardless of what level you're at. But for candidates in the space, number one, the recruiter should have some knowledge, some subject matter knowledge. They don't need to be an expert at it.
Yeah.
So let's start there. When you're talking to a recruiter and they come to you and say, Shyamala, I am new in representing this voice conversational AI design space. I have to tell you that. And right now I'm just looking at words on a resume and words on a job description that I've been handed. Would you bear with me and take a look at this job description with me? Give me feedback. If this is something of interest to you, this is my first stop. How would you be receptive to that? What would your thoughts be?
Absolutely. And see, we have done that internally as well, right? Like when we started looking for conversational designers, of course, we had, the company has never hired a conversational designer. So what should be in the resume? How should we put things in place? So we work with the recruiters to explain them how, what kind of roles we are looking for, what kind of skills, and, created a JD together. Like this is how the job description should look like. And then went through each and everything. Like, okay, when I say natural language understanding, what does that mean? So when you are talking to them, talk about it in that aspect. Or when we talk about sample dialogues, or when we talk about Wizard of Oz testing, or when we talk about designing conversations, or there are all these keywords which you will have in a conversational designer's resume. So we actually went through all of those things, not just putting things in the resume, but also telling why we need to have the skill set and all of those things. So when you are representing, you are looking from a broader lens, but also understand the domain what you are recruiting for.
So do exactly what I did with you, Shyamala. I I think voice is cool. Teach me what's going on.
Yes.
I think it's a little bit, it's humbling, right? To go to somebody and say, I don't know. Right. But to say this is part of my job and I'm learning it on the job. The interesting part, and I've found this for decades, is that the smarter the person, the more talented they are, the higher in the organization they are, the more kinder they get and the more enthusiastic they are to pass on what they know, to train other people. So I used to take people like you on client meetings with me or have them in interviews with me until I learned the ropes. Right? Exactly. Until I learned. I was trained by subject matter experts. That was not a classroom. That was not a book. That was actually the coaching. And so what I'm hearing, though, from you is that there is so much need for speed that we might be missing a large part of that these days.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when we are looking at when you're a candidate, so let's take another digital assistant graduate. So we've got three that are, well, two that are definitely on their way out, right? They're looking for their new gigs. What is the feedback from them on what their experiences have been thus far?
For the interviews?
Yeah. How are they coming along?
I think they've been pretty happy with the process, even where they were rejected in one or two places. They feel like the process was good, the communication was good, and they got the right kind of feedback why they were rejected and what they have to work on, and that helped them move forward.
Well, let's talk about that. Stop right there. What kind of feedback? Why are they getting rejected? What's the feedback on that?
So it was more to do with how they are writing the dialogues, or it was more to do in the design exercise, what they created. Like the companies were looking for more details or more creativity, or they were looking for more in-depth thing. Basically, the way we have been taught is create a design exercise, just show me the high-level interactions, right? That's it. You don't want to create end-to-end solution, but you just have to create a high-level interaction showing what you're. But the feedback they got was more towards okay, we need to, and voice is little different, right? Voice is different, so people would want to know all the different path and how you are thinking. Are you really thinking about the edge cases and error cases, or just the happy cases? Because if it is happy cases, it is not going to help. So it's slightly different as compared to the GUI. And that is why, looking at those things, they got the feedback in terms of how the interactions needed a little bit more work, or needed a little bit more creativity in terms of the copy or how they are thinking about it. But it was not to do with any kind of non-functional skill sets, or anything else like any other communication skill sets or presentation skill sets or portfolio review skill sets or anything out
Okay, so let's talk about this design challenge thing. What is a realistic, because you know how I feel about design challenges, and I understand that they are good. I've used them myself as a part of the process, the hiring process. There are some instances where candidates are being asked to perform actual work on
there.
real work, and that's where I draw the line. So, I
I've seen
qualify
that.
that. Yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen that happening a lot. So, well, a lot of people came back to me with not my students, but others, and they were like, okay, what should I do? They asked me to do a design review exercise. They asked me to do a design exercise for a chatbot, which they are working on.
Oh yeah,
So,
no.
which the moment someone tells me something like that, I will clearly say, don't even go further,
Good.
because they will get your design and they will say thank you, we don't need you anymore, because they don't understand that this is an ongoing process and you will need someone, so they're just trying to take benefit out of you. But design review exercise, it should not be exactly what your company does. If you want to, and one more thing is, if you want to see whether the entire rice is boiled, you will not have to pinch each and every piece of the rice to see that, right? You can just look at one and like the entire batch is cooked. It's the same thing. If you need to look at a talent and see like this person, is it, perfect for my skill sets, for my company, then you just have to look at, like a very high level thing. So if you're giving a design exercise, you can give any design exercise like create a chatbot or a voice bot, and set a clear expectation what you are looking for, and don't make it a really scope creep kind of thing. Give something which they can complete in just like a couple of days. They don't need to spend like hours and hours, maybe 2 or 3 hours at maximum, because they don't have to create the entire persona. And my students have done that. They've created persona, they've created all of the deliverables which we teach them to do in the project before they actually started doing their interactions. And we all do that. When
Mhm.
I did my design reviews in the past, I've spent weeks doing user interviews, collecting the data, synthesizing the data, and then putting all of those things in one place, and then out of that coming up with a design, and then creating my entire rationale behind why I did this, how I did this, and all of those things. That's what companies like, right? But so much effort is going, you're not getting paid for that.
That's right. So, in those 2 to 3 hours, what should we expect to do as candidates in that
Very very
challenge?
high level, very very high level, just come up with your system persona, like, okay, what is your bot's personality, how are you thinking about it, right? And then based on the bot personality, create your like the voice flows. That's it. Like, this is how my flow would be. If the user said this, the bot would say this, and then it will go forward like this. If there is an error, if the user did not say anything, then this is how the conversation should go, or this is how I'll take the conversation back and forth. So error handling, just show some of the things. That's it. And I think it should be good if the companies are expecting more than that. If they are expecting the entire suite of deliverables what a conversation designer would have to do every day, and is expecting the user to spend weeks and weeks onto something which, for their personal interest, they will use in the company, because they already have a personality, they already have some of the things. If they have 10 candidates, they can consolidate all of those and come up with something better, right?
Good advice, Shyamala, as always. So, last question, last minute. How important is fit to you? And what does fit mean to you as a candidate or a hiring manager? So, how important is fit? And what does it mean to you as a candidate or a hiring manager?
So when you say fit, is it a team fit, or is it an individual fitness? There are two things which are completely different.
Okay, let's talk about that. So, team fitness and individual. Team fit and individual. What do you mean by that?
So when I say team fit, it is like, are you a team player? Will you collaborate properly? Are you defending your designs always, or are you listening to the feedbacks and making changes? Are you open to feedbacks and all of those things? And how collaborative you are in the environment? Like, do you like working alone? Do you like working with a team? How do you work? Are you able to be productive in both the scenarios? That is all the team fit, right? But individual fitnesses, it's like learning new skills, right? I need to be fit. I need to do XYZ to stay fit. The same way, when you talk about individual fitness, okay, do you have the growth mindset? Are you open to learning new things, right? And if there is a quick hop and hop required, like you'll have to quickly jump between the technologies and tools and all of those things. Do you have that kind of capability to being able to switch the gears and change, be more agile? That is all individual fitness. So that is equally required, because if a person does not have a growth mindset, they will be complaining and cribbing about everything because they don't want to learn any new things and they just want to be in their own little bubble. That will also impact the overall performance of the company and the individual. So for me, it's both team fit and individual fitness, both are required.
Wow. And that ends our 30 minutes of intense information and a how-to for candidates, hiring managers on all sides of the desk, and things to consider. So thank you for that, Shyamala. We'll be posting this on LinkedIn as well, since this didn't make the live time slot, but we'll get it up there as well. Thank you so much. To let everyone know, for the next 3 weeks, there will not be a Voice Chat Friday. We are going to be taking a summer break, and we'll be returning in the midst of summer in August or in July and August. So we're taking an early summer break and then be returning after that. So stay tuned. Enjoy the next 3 weeks. And Shyamala, again, thank you so much for your time and your expertise, and good luck to our graduates.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.